Baltic have gone and done a thing here. They've basically created a new watch collection. It's called Prismic. It's basically a dress watch inspired by geometric shapes and luminous refractions of a prism. Now, I'm not normally a dress watch guy, but so many of you guys have asked me, get some dress watches in. So here we are. Now, after this review finishes, I'm still probably not going to be a dress watch guy, but not that there's anything wrong with the watch, but I don't really think they suit my lifestyle. But I tell you what, after spending a week with this, that might change. Let's check this out. Now essentially what I have in my hands is a 36mm case with a combination of steel and titanium incorporated in that case. It's basically a 5-piece construction case, stainless steel, grade 5 titanium, a real smart execution of different finishing. And that's caught my attention throughout the week. You've got a sapphire crystal, a Swiss manual wind movement with around 42 hours power reserve. The profile on this watch is ultra slim, coming in at about 9.2mm. And I tell you what, this mesh that they've supplied it on has copious amounts of micro adjustability, and it's really finished well. So I'm very impressed with what I have in my hands. As a dress watch, as a beautiful looking watch, it is stunning. Now, saying all that, there's only really been about 2 flaws with this watch, or room for improvement, which I'll share with you guys. And this is a pre-production prototype, so if you see any marks or scratches or dust particles, just be aware of that. Now, this video is sponsored by Baltic, so I will of course leave all the links in the description section. So if you're interested in this watch, you can check it out. And this new collection is going to be available for pre-order from the 15th of February for 10 days. But before we go anywhere else with this watch, let's get onto the specs and then I'll tell you what my experience has been throughout the week. Now, I measure a case diameter of 36mm with a lug-to-lug of 44. That case height is 9.2mm and a lug width of 20. That crown is a 5.7mm push-pull crown. The watch offers 30 meters of water resistance. And the total weight on the mesh bracelet comes in at 74 grams, whilst on the supplied leather, it comes in at 45. Now, although this is a 36mm watch, it actually feels more substantial on the wrist. The presence is nice. You've got a lovely lug-to-lug of 44mm, a beautiful case height of 9.2mm, and the comfort and wearability has been second to none. Exactly what you want from a dress watch. Now, speaking of that mesh bracelet, you basically got 20mm, which tapers down to 16.7. You've got quick release end links, as you can see, and that system is absolutely superb. I love what they've done here. You basically get your tongue, you slide it in, it goes underneath, and you lock it in place. And you can adjust this anywhere you want, on the fly, any size, and just lock it in. That is excellent. That is a really good system. Simple, it works, flawless. Now, the only point of concern, as you can see, it doesn't go straight down, so there is a little bit of distance which might extend that potential lug to lug. From edge to edge, I measure about 55mm, so just keep that in mind. Now, the real heroes for me of this watch is the dial and that case. You see, that case is composed of 5 separate parts, giving the watch different finishes and materials to work with. You've got a combination of stainless steel and grade 5 titanium. And even that bezel is polished on the top and circular brushing on the lower section. So they've played with light and textures really nicely. I like that. Now, getting a look at that dial, you can see the different textures. You've got guilloche pattern with a brush section. You've got applied indices, highly polished. You've got a wonderful subdial at the 6, which is beautifully framed with satin brush surround. It's got increments on it and it's simple, clean branding, just Baltic. It's basically a minimalist design without compromising on textures, details, and very good design. So I like what they've done here. And being a dress watch, there's no real minute markers for accuracy or lume plots, as you really don't need it. So nicely done. Now, you notice that crown is slightly recessed in, and one of my concerns, because being a manual wind, it's a little bit hard to grab, but visually it does offer a nice petite experience. Now, if I turn the watch over, you can see you've got a sapphire exhibition case back. You got that Swiss ETA movement, nicely finished. It gives you something visually appealing to look at. It is a manual wind movement with about 42 hours power reserve. Also, bear in mind that the watch doesn't have stop seconds. So when you pull the crown out, that seconds hand keeps moving. And speaking of that handset, let me just adjust it. You can see it's immaculately finished. You've got a cap seconds hand with on that subdial, beautiful refined brushing with highly polished bevels. I'm really seeing attention to detail here. And on that note, what is the price of this watch? There's 4 different colorways to look at on their website, as you can see. And the watch is available either on a bracelet or leather strap. And on the strap it comes in at €990 and on that metal bracelet 1050. So it's not an inexpensive watch, but I think the styling, the execution, the materials used, the functionality and wearability of this has been really good. On that note, what are my gripes? Well, first and foremost, as good and as beautiful that mesh bracelet is with its toolless micro adjustability, just remember that for a smaller wrist, keep that 55mm external lug to lug in mind. It doesn't drop straight down, but the fact that they do offer a leather strap, you can get out of trouble. Secondly, that crown, it's basically extending about 2 and a bit millimeters out, and being a manual wind watch, it's quite difficult to grab. I mean, it's got fantastic knurling, but yeah, as a manual wind watch, there's not much real estate to get your fingers around that. And I think it should have been a tad bigger, but as I mentioned, I can see aesthetically, it might have affected the overall design and the look, so they're giving you just enough grip to be able to execute the job, but that little bit more would have been nice. And last gripe, well, potentially the price. These aren't inexpensive. But it's been a real eye-opener for me because, as I mentioned, I'm not a dress watch guy, and this thing here has been beautiful. From that bracelet with its beautiful toolless adjustability, that dial which has amazing texture, that handset immaculately finished, the petite footprint on the wrist, it wears really well, but it's also got more wrist presence, and I really didn't expect that, so that's quite nice. Because as a 36mm watch, on the wrist it's got a nice substantial look. It's clean, elegant, thin, made really well, and I think it's watches like this that can convert even myself to maybe seriously start looking at dress watches. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section. The Baltic Prismic, really well made, really well executed. In fact, the quality surprised me throughout the week. The wearability was a no-brainer. Having a nice color palette there to choose from, I think the biggest problem would be which one to get. Thanks for watching, be well and safe, enjoy the watch that's currently on your wrist, and we'll see you in the next one.